Thank you, Program Director, Mr. Motaung. Thank you so much for having me, sir. All protocol observed. First of all, to say, how can we stay motivated? I don't know. It's not easy. We are living in extremely difficult and challenging times. And I think every experience that we encounter on a daily basis is posing its own challenges on resilience. I'm going to touch on a few topics, and hopefully we can benefit from it. It's also based on own personal experiences over a number of years working for a corporate company where you have been exposed to a lot of stress and a lot of challenges on a daily basis. First of all, I'm going to start with who am I? And I think that's the question that you should ask yourself. Who are you? And then build or break. I always say there are the two B's in life. You either build or you break. MAD is to make a difference. The journey of life. The stairs versus the elevator. Phases of life. The tortoise, half full or half empty. You do not deserve anything. And do not allow people to take your sun away. And we need to prioritize. We need to trust. And need to love yourself. Who am I? I think it's not an easy question to answer. None of us wrote a little letter before we were born to say, I want to be a boy, I would like to be a girl, I would like to be born in this country. There's something we had no control over. So being here on earth was not a choice. Where we find ourselves, this was not a choice. But how we conduct ourselves, how we act, what we do, what we say, that's all about choices. So you need to dig deeply and to say, what distinguishes myself from anyone else? Human beings have got souls. We have choices. We don't act on instinct. And I think it does come with accountability as well. We are extremely judgmental. I shared with a few colleagues earlier on this morning that we are very quick to judge the book by its cover. We hardly ever take the time to read it and then come to a conclusion. And that's mainly based on perceptions. That perceptions might come from a long period of time. The way you were brought up, the way you come from, certain beliefs you've got, examples that were set by your parents, and that's your perceptions. And we quite often already have made up our minds before we took a bit of time to find out really what is this person all about. It's like baking a cake. You know, it can be a horrible cake, but you've put nice icing over it. Everyone will think, wow, you know, this is nice. This is a nice cake. But you have to eat it first before you can come to a conclusion. It's the inside that matters, not the outside. It's what you do. It's how you react that makes the difference, and not what you look like. I put on my nice suit this morning. You know, being a pensioner, you don't often have an opportunity to dress up a bit. So, but that's not to say that this is me. I can take it off. Take the tie off. It'd still be me. So it's the inside that matters and not the outside. Your actions, your behavior, that's what is really the important thing, and not what you look like. That will really boils down to, and I'll touch a bit on it a bit later, as well as attitude. It's how you deal with life, how you deal with problems, how you deal with challenges that will define you. Because things will go wrong. How are you going to react to that when life throws a curveball at you? I had an opportunity last year to speak to the same audience. So I'm going to deliberately repeat a few things that I've said as well, just to reinforce them. I've touched on build or break. I think one of the big challenges we're having is the I factor. It's about me. What can I benefit? What can I get out of something? When I attend a meeting, if I say something, will I look good? Will I impress the boss? When I help someone, there must be something in it for me as well. The I factor becomes your focal point. It's my feelings that are important. It's my career that's important. It's my position. It's my property. It's my car. It's my family. It's me. It's all about me. So I think if you start looking beyond that, and see if you start looking at others, the I will go to the back. But then only then, your actions, your meaning, your purpose in life will start taking up a new meaning. It's your thoughts, your words, your actions that matters, not your position. You give status to your qualification. You give status to your position. It's not the other way around. It's not because you have a PhD or not because you are the leader of the team that people need to respect you. They will respect you for what you do, what you say, how you react, how you support. I said to Esau earlier this morning, it's like the conductor of an orchestra. He stands with his back to the audience. So he's not there to impress the audience. He's there to conduct his people. But in order to do that, he needs to know each and every instrument. He needs to know the strengths, the weaknesses. When do they have to start? When do they have to stop in order to make beautiful music for the audience to benefit? But it's not about the conductor. It's about the music. It's what he can get out of his people in order to make the people happy out there. So you're not here for yourself. In your own little space, you are the conductor. With your will students, with the environment you find yourself in, within your families. If you're a mother, if you're a father, if you're a brother, if you're a sister, you're also a conductor. It's not about you, it's about the value that you can add. But in order to do that, you need to know the strengths, you need to know the weaknesses, you need to know your people. You feel very fortunate. It's my wife's birthday today, for instance. To be married or to be in a relationship. Do you know that person? Do you really know them? What at the moment is making them happy? What's making them sad? What are they worried about? Do you know? Or do you take people for granted? It's an old Chinese proverb that says you complain about not having shoes until you see someone who hasn't got feet. So it's very important to know the people around you, especially if you are in a position of authority. And in some way along the line, we all are. We all are mentors. We also have to set the example. Yes, be mad. Make a difference. I think the whole purpose of life is when we need to pass on. And I have attended a funeral on Monday. You know, and death makes you look differently at life. You need to look at why are you here? You are here for a reason. Because you are unique. Your fingerprints are different to anyone else. Just look at the person sitting right next to you. That we don't look alike. You are a unique. That makes you special. You're a unique human being. You are handmade. So you're here to make a difference. Are you? When you're not here anymore, will there be a legacy to say, I've left something behind that people can build on? Within my family, within my career, with the students, I've set the example. Your uniqueness comes with choices, and choices goes with accountability. And we spoke about delegation. You cannot delegate accountability. You can delegate responsibility. ESO can make you responsible for something, and you need to report back on that. But if something in this will department goes wrong, He will be the one that needs to answer to that. He will remain accountable. So you are accountable for your actions, the way you conduct yourself, the way you treat your students, your colleagues, your fellow citizens. Make a difference by starting to be a good human being. The rest will follow. Put the I factor at one side. Look at the difference that you can make, and the rest will follow. If you look at the journey of life, I think one can take life and divide it into certain phases. Program director, just check me on the time, please. Perhaps your preschool is a phase of life where you've grown up. And we come from different environments with different challenges, different opportunities, different backgrounds. But it doesn't matter. Perhaps your primary school is another phase. One have got his own memories where you did your primary education. Your secondary education is another one. And the fortunate ones who has got the opportunity to go to a tertiary phase, that's another phase. And then you start your career. Your 20 to 30 year time frame is extremely busy. You start your career, you start a family, you buy a house, you do all these things. Perhaps go into a relationship, perhaps you get married, perhaps there are kids. You are extremely busy. And sometimes you're being so busy, we are planning to fail because we are not planning properly. So we need to plan. And that comes back to, who are you really? Don't lose focus. Don't become so busy that you get absorbed in the things that are not really that important. And I've realized it again at the funeral. Things that we think are important, perhaps they are not. Because we take things on face value. When I said, who am I can have this body of a car which says it's a Ferrari, red Ferrari and GT and all the badges and gadgets. But it might have a Volkswagen engine in it. And we all think, oh, this guy has arrived, he's driving a Ferrari or whatever. Until the time comes that it's been tested. Then only to find out it's not really a Ferrari. So when you appoint this person, and you think it's a Ferrari, it might not be. Because we do it for the wrong reasons. The things is not always the way you think it is. Find out. Get to know people first before you are becoming judgmental. We are extremely impatient. We are always in a hurry. I want to climb the corporate ladder. I want to get the new position. I want to have this nice car. I want to live in this neighborhood. I want to wear this clothes. I want to have the state-of-the-art cell phone. And it should have happened yesterday. If it doesn't, we see ourselves as being a failure, or the family even view you as being a failure. Very difficult to deal with success. Why is it difficult to deal with success? You should be happy. You should think, I've achieved, I've arrived. Very few people manage to stay the same when they become successful. They get a chip on the shoulder. I'm now besloten. I'm Mr. Important. And I will let you know about it. In no uncertain terms. The person that you thought it would be, they change overnight because they become successful. Learn to deal with success. And what we call success, sometimes it's not. I used to work on the 42nd floor in Carlton Center where all the big bosses used to sit. General managers and even higher, executive managers. And the funny part of it is if you observe people's behavior, they are the ones that were stressed, hardly ever greeted you, always running. And then the cleaning lady will come along, singing, laughing, chatting to you about the kids, about the family. Be happy and be content. Now, who is the successful one? I don't know. You decide. We measure success of what we wear, what our rank is, where we live, what we drive, outside things. That's how when you are successful. I think it starts within. happiness and contentment. You need to decide what works for you. We don't chase things for the wrong reasons and then become extremely unhappy. I know very few people, very successful people, are really happy people. You always hear in the newspapers or on the news about divorces and about this, and continuously. They are the so-called successful people. So decide for yourself, when were you successful and when were you not? I mentioned the previous time that attitude determines altitude. It's how you deal with life. When we evaluate and assess, especially in primary and secondary stages of life, we always talk about IQ. It's how clever you are. In which category do you fall into? But we don't teach people to deal with life and to deal with life's issues. When things really go wrong, how will you be able to deal with that? And it becomes your determination when you have nothing and your attitude when you have everything. I've mentioned that previously as well. Because people change when they have everything. But how hungry are you to become what you can be when you have nothing? It's finding diamonds in the dust. When I managed the bursary department within Transnet for a couple of years, we've had students that came from very, very poor backgrounds, very disadvantaged students. And if you are prepared to give them a chance and to believe in them and to believe in their ability, you'll soon find out that these are really diamonds that are in the dust there. But you are prepared to polish them and sometimes even cut them. It goes with pain and sacrifices, but they will shine. And if they can be successful, why can't you? There's always someone that's worse off. I've mentioned the shoes and the feet. That is the truth. If you look at, I'm talking about stairs versus the elevator. In our careers, we all want to use the elevator. We don't want to use the stairs. But if there's a power failure, if something goes wrong, if you're in the elevator, you get stuck. You're going nowhere. And it's dark. And if there's something goes wrong, there's only one way, and that's down and with a speed. At the elevator, you also are reliant on other people. In the Carlton Centre, we had 50 floors. Don't know if you've been in the Carlton Centre, perhaps. 50 floors. And you start at the bottom. And sometimes you stop at every floor because someone else presses a button. So they determine your progress for you. Even though you are in a hurry, you become dependent on others. If you use the stairs, you can set your own pace. You can stop. You can pause. If there's a power failure, you don't get stuck. You can still go where you want to go. But you learn the hard way. And I think sometimes we need to learn to use the stairs as well. But just remember one thing. Once you've reached the 50th floor, in your case it might be higher, it might be less, I would not know. There are still people waiting at the bottom to be guided. And that's where it's important to have mentorship, to set an example, and to help other people also. And there are the bright stars that can use the elevator with success. It's not necessarily wrong. But be careful, because we are extremely impatient, because we have this entitlement thing. Life owes me something. When we conducted interviews, one of the first questions that people ask, what salary am I going to get? What promotions you have to give before you can get? What value will you add? What difference will you make? MAD. We are so busy. We are so busy. We don't have time. There was on the radio a program, I think it was a year plus ago, where they interviewed people. Especially they focused on men. And yes, guys, we are guilty. We are guilty. It was always sad when we interviewed students and I say, what is the biggest challenge that you've experienced in life? And quite often they responded to say, having to grow up without a father. I spoke about responsibility and accountability. We shift that responsibility to the Oma or to the mother or to whoever. We don't take accountability for our kids, for our actions, because we are so busy. And when we spoke to these people on this interview, they asked young boys, but also men already in their 20s, 30s perhaps, and they asked them, what would you have liked your father to do, what he didn't do? You know, and it was sad, the responses that they've received. Is to hug me, to talk to me, to be there when I received an award, to teach me how to fish, to ride a bike. And those were the responses. It was not money. It's not buying me a car or a new cell phone. And I think the same applies for the mothers. We are so busy because they're also breadwinners. So the same thing applies to them as well. We've become too busy to focus on the things that really matters until sometimes it's too late. When there's an accident, when there's a crisis in the family, when there's a health risk, when you lose your job, then you start realizing the things that you thought are so important are really insignificant. So let us focus on the things that really matters. We need caring. People need caring. So before you speak, listen. Listen to your wife. Listen to your husband. Listen to your partner. Listen to your colleague. Listen. But really listen. We have got this thing in South Africa, and it applies to all of us. When we see someone, how are you? I'm fine. You're lying. You're not really fine, because we wear masks. You have a mask when you go to work, because then you are someone different. When you go home, you're not the same person. When you go to church, perhaps, you're not the same person. When you're with the boys or the girls or wherever, watching the soccer or the cricket or the rugby or netball, you're not the same person. We have a mask for each and every occasion. Who are you? When you take off these things, who are you? What do you stand for? What's important for you? What really matters to you? So listen. Before you write, think. Think. Before you spend, earn. We have got debt counselors. Serious problems. All of us. We're spending more than what we earn. We are in trouble. The country is in trouble. Before you pray, give. Give. The get will come automatically. It's not what can I get, it's what can I give. Not how much am I going to earn, what value am I going to add. The earn will come. Before you hate, love. I think we have a challenge in our country to do that, because we are judgmental. We don't take the time to know the person first. We've made up our minds already, based on the things that I've already mentioned. Before you quit, try. I mentioned earlier on, you can have a PhD on how to ride a bicycle, but you haven't been on the bike, you cannot claim I can ride a bicycle. So qualification does not say you're competent. Irrespective of what qualification you may have, prove your competency. And you're going to fall down a few times in life. And perhaps you're going to hurt. It's not going to be easy. But you need to get up again. Because you've only failed when you don't try again. Then you failed. So don't quit. Try. Before you die, live. It's not how many days you've put into your life, it's how much life you've put into your days that matters. We don't live. We worry. We worry about our jobs. We worry about our careers, our cars, our finances, our family. We are professional worriers. We all have PhD in how to worry. We are experts. We worry. And that's why we wear masks. That's why we conduct ourselves in certain ways that is not the way we should do. And don't expect anything. Because when you start expecting anything, you set yourself up, you become vulnerable, because you'll be disappointed. Just do the right thing for the right reasons. We don't do things for the right reasons. I come back to the I factor. We will do things that they see what's in it for me. If I don't benefit, why will I do it? Why? But someone else might benefit. Then you need to go down, pick that person up and take them with you. Then you've made a difference. Then your life will take on a new meaning. Tortoise. You know, it's a wonderful little, what shall we call it, an animal, a reptile. You know, think about a tortoise. It's very much protected by its shell. It can rain, it can be cold, it's protected against the weather and the elements and the predators. But the only sad part is, if it wants to move forward, it needs to stick out its neck. And the little neck is very, very vulnerable. So if you want to move forward in life, you need to take risks. So when the tortoise wants to move forward, it needs to take risks. Take a risk with your career, with your relationship, with people. Take a risk with yourself. Are you prepared to take a risk on yourself? To go out of your comfort zone? Because we all want to be in this comfort zone. I want to know what tomorrow holds in store for me. If I don't know, no, I'll always, I will not do it because I know what I have. I might just lose it. I spoke about the diamonds in the dust. You need to take risks with people. You need to take risks to make friends. Yes, you might become vulnerable, but you can learn from it. But the beauty is we can't change yesterday. We are living so much in the past. We can't change it. What we can do is we can learn from it to change tomorrow. That we can do. But we can't change yesterday. Even very much like to do so. We can turn back the clock, but we can't. So you need to believe in yourself. Because if you don't, no one else will. That's the sad part of it. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. And you're good enough. I said right at the beginning, your fingerprints, you're unique, you are fine. You need to believe it and move on. Many years ago, I was fortunate enough to present some management courses to people. And I used to go to the whiteboard and take a whiteboard marker, whether it's a red, black or green, it doesn't matter. And you make a dot on the board. And in detail, they will explain to you what they see on the board is the dot. How big it is, left, right, size, color, detail, 100% correct. Hardly ever someone says to you, I see the board with a dot on. The dot is there, sure. But that's how we are. You can do 99% right in life, but make one mistake. What do people remember? Oh yes, I know Donnie, that's the guy, the dot. The dot. It's there. Even though it's 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's the dot. That stays there. Why don't we see the board? Because you're a human being. You're bound to have dots. You're bound to make mistakes. But it's okay, because that's how you learn. Just don't make the same mistake all over again. That's a problem. Because then there's no more board. It is just dots. You color it in. That's a problem. But if you learn from your mistakes, move on. But don't be so judgmental to people to say, I'm Mr. Perfect. I don't make mistakes. You do. You do. But it's fine. It's okay. I mentioned attitude determines altitude. And I think it's very important to never let the thoughts of what you want tomorrow make you forget what you have today. We always think about the things we don't have. Hey, man. Once you've reached this position, you're always looking at the next one. And then the next one. Once you've had the first salary increase, you're already looking at the next one. And that's how we are. When are you rich? When are you poor? Tell me. Give me a definition of rich. Give me a definition of poor. Please, help me. Because you may think I'm the poorest person around there. And another person will look at you and say, wow, if I only had what he or she has got, I'll be so grateful. Always look at your commitment, look at your attitude, because attitude determines altitude. And listen, companies will employ attitude. Yes, so they can teach the skill. You can be the most clever person. If you have the wrong attitude, people will not like to be associated with you. You're a troublemaker. Nothing is ever according to plan. You just want, you just this, you got a wrong attitude. You got this entitlement thing. Life owes you something. We can teach the skill. It's not a problem if you have the right attitude. Towards your family, it's not just a work integrated learning thing. It's not a TUT thing. It's about you. What's your attitude in your family? Towards your parents, towards your neighbors, towards your communities, towards yourself. Do not allow people to take your son away. We want to please. We are so eager to please. I said earlier on, happiness comes from within. It does not come from outside. It's not your position, it's not your car, it's not your salary, it's not your bank account, your bank balance. And we allow people to make us unhappy. We allow people to determine our actions, our moods. You know, a certain day where you find yourself in a certain period, nature responds. If it's springtime, the flowers come out. They don't tell each other it's now time. It just happens. It just happens. At the same time, if you go to Pretoria, you go there, you see the same flowers are blooming. They're not in competition with one another. We are in competition with each other. We are competing all the time. I want to be better, I want to have this, I want to have that, I want to have... You know, we are 3 or 4 candidates, there's only one position there. Now my best friend is also my competitor. We become enemies because we are competing, and we allow people to take your son away. Be who you are, be content, be happy, and you'll be okay. I said we are scared. We're going to lose something. We are so worried. We all are afraid. We're afraid of what's going to happen tomorrow, next year. Ask me, when you reach this stage of your life, you're not getting a 13th check anymore, you're not getting a bonus anymore. Oh, so worry. Because what is the share market going to do? Because, you know, I still have to provide. Yes, but don't let things that you have got no control over, things that you have no control over, determine the way you think, the way you react, your personality. You can't change that. Change the things that you do have control over. And that's your actions, your thoughts. I said here, do not someone dim your lights simply because it's shining in their eyes. People will run you down because they see you as a threat. They will demotivate you. Bosses will sometimes take all the credit for themselves and will not stand back and say, I'm tall because I stand on shoulders. I am because we are. Does it sound familiar? We've lost that because now it's me. I heard this saying the other day, which was very interesting. You know this tightrope walkers? You know, they span this rope over a cliff or between buildings, and this guy takes this pole and he walks over this tightrope. Scary. Sometimes no cables or nothing. It's a solo act. And this guy was pushing a wheelbarrow over this tightrope. And he was at the beginning, and there's this lot of people now watching. Something to happen. Obviously they want to get some sort of thing. Something's going to go wrong. It's going to fall. Oh wow, he's going to make it. You know, it's extraordinary. And this guy who needs to walk over this rope now asked, who of you think I'm not going to make it? I'm not be able to do this. And they all said, no, you're going to make it. You're going to do it. Go for it. Go for it. So no one said no. Everyone said, yes, go for it. He said, okay, that is the case, it's fine. To give a bit of stability to the wheelbarrow, I need a volunteer to get into the wheelbarrow. What was the response? No way. They all said, you're going to make it. But no one was prepared to make that commitment to get into that wheelbarrow, to be part of this thing. That's how people are. Sometimes they will set you up for failure. We are extremely conscious of what we look like, the outside appearances, the hairstyle. We put, how much money do we spend on facial things, creams, makeup, hair, you know? Some, those who have, you know, I'm the have-nots, you know? But the haves, amen? We spend a lot of, you know? A large portion of our budget, and you don't even think about that. Outside appearance is not important. It's inside. Beauty is not what you look like. Beauty is, who are you? Who are you? I started right at the beginning to say, who am I? Who are you? I'm Dani, who are you? Prioritize. Am I doing time wise, sir? It's all right. 10 minutes. Okay. Please shout. Prioritize. Work to live. Do not live to work. Work sometimes has got a tendency to eat up your life. You know, it's difficult to switch off. I was in my later stage of my career. I found it extremely difficult to switch off. You know, you may lock your office, but you take the office home. 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, so you wake up and you start thinking work issues. Sometimes you even get up and do something before you forget. Because sometimes the answers to what's in your mind come when you sleep. And then you wake up and say, the sun has come up. How I know. Let me go and write it down quickly before I forget. Work becomes your life. It eats up your time. It robs you of your happiness. It robs you of your time that you could spend for your family and your friends. Because you never switch off. Even though you find yourself perhaps being on holiday. You know, being on holiday causes stress. It causes stress. Because I said we are PhDs in worry. They're going to break in. The geyser is going to burst. Am I going to have a flat wheel? Is my car going to pack up along the way? You stress when you go on holiday. So when you really switch off, it's a choice. Have a sanctuary where you can say, this is me, this is what life is all about, a bit of quiet time. Take stock, focus on the things you have inner peace, have inner contentment, then you'll be fine, irrespective of your position, irrespective of anything. But it goes with, I mentioned accountability. Don't do stupid things and then blame someone else. Now I'm in trouble. Because you knew you are spending more than what you earn. Now, whose fault is this now? It's yours. It's yours. Allow time for your kids, for your spouses, for your family, for your friends, for your community. I said make a difference. Allow time for that. And all of a sudden your life will take on another meaning. But if you're getting bound up, tied up with one-track-minded things, chasing things for the wrong reasons, you won't have time for that. Because you might listen to what the other party is saying, but your mind is somewhere else. You're thinking about something else. You're not listening. Because hearing is not listening. I can hear what you say, but I don't listen. Something different. We tend to think that it used to be big things that makes big differences. It's not. The basic need of every human being is to belong. To give recognition. I'm okay. That's what you want to hear. From your partner, from your friends, from your boss, from whoever. I am okay. If you don't hear I'm okay, and I'm okay doesn't have to mean words, it's actions, it's behavior things. Kids don't have to hear on a daily basis, I love you. Or your partner has to hear, I love you. They must know it. How do they find it out? It's because of your actions. Small things makes big differences. A hug now and then, to be there, to care, to be honest, to be sincere. Because people, they find out when you're lying. They know when you're not honest. They know that. Kids know that. When the kids are small, they always get onto your lap. Look at this, look at that, look at that, look at that. They make a nuisance of themselves. Why? Because they want to belong. I'm feeling wanted, I'm recognized. We are no different. You are no different. The only thing that happened over time is you start wearing a mask to protect yourself from hurt, from rejection, because it hurts. Nothing is as bad as to be feel that. That's why people commit suicide. It's not worth it anymore. If I'm here, if I'm not, it doesn't make any difference. I'm on pension now. Why should I get up in the morning? Why should I shave? Why should I dress up? You know, I'm useless. I'm worth nothing. I'm a failure. And sometimes kids feel that way as well. Small things make big differences. Focus on the small things. You'll be surprised what you get back. It's an investment. Change your daily routine. It becomes same old. Same old. I have 5 minutes. Same old. I'm going to move on. The days become the same thing over and over again. I drive the same way to work. You change your route now and then? No. You don't. Sometimes you see something differently. If you do, life is the same. Visualize your future. Do you still dream? If I ask you now sincerely, where do you picture yourself 4 or 5 years from now? No, I take a day for a day. Day for a day. Page by page. You know? You don't have this dream anymore. And if you're not dreaming, you're dead. Trust. I spoke about the wheelbarrow. If my walk do not convince you, my talk will confuse you. If my walk do not convince you, my talk will confuse you. So it's not what you say, it's what you do that matters. Actions speak louder than words. We often heard that as well. Set the example. Set the example. Don't expect others to do what you're not prepared to do. Walk in front. Love yourself. You're in competition with no one. Please. You're not in competition with no one. Make footprints. Don't follow them. Make your own. Do not have a desire to be better than anyone. Simply try to be a better person than you were yesterday. That's all you have to do. Life is a fingerprint that cannot be duplicated. I spoke about your uniqueness. You're handmade, all of you. You're special. So make the best impression with it. Live it, love it, and do not waste a single moment, because time has no holiday. It goes. The clock ticks for every one of us. We are now almost an hour older than what we've started. It's a reality. He's not old. The hour is the same for him as what it is for me. It's an equalizer. It applies to all of us. It's like having to eat. It's an equalizer. Dreams have no expiry date, so please don't stop dreaming. And life has no pause button. It's the month of May. Today is the 17th. I have to remember because it's my wife's birthday. I'm in trouble if I forget. Can I leave you with a few things of May? May you be happy. I said contentment, deep down, inside. May you be well. Also from the shoulders up. Sometimes we take a pillicky for the shoulders down, because that is a remedy, but from the shoulders up we have challenges. This mind of ours wanders, it's challenges, and we are PhDs in worry. May you be safe. May you find comfort. Decide what works for you. May you have strength when you fall down to get up. May you have the courage to carry on when things are difficult. May you find healing when you hurt. And we're all going to hurt. Sometime, somewhere, someone's going to disappoint you. May you have peace inside. May you have joy. We don't laugh anymore. We are so serious. We are so serious. May you be filled with loving kindness. I said you need to give before you can get. I said you must make a difference. May you be blessed today and always. I thank you.